Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first and action of 2021. It's Ricky Borber, your host. We have a fun night ahead of us. I do want to let you know that a few moments ago in the green room, my camera and mic shut off. It is 2021. We were hoping that things from 2020 would leave behind, but they're still here. So if that happens, our guest, MiMi Rose, has told us that she's going to sing a beautiful sonnet until my camera and mic come back. With that said, let's welcome MiMi Rose to the show. Hello, MiMi. I don't know if you're muted or if we... There we go. Hello, MiMi.
I was muted. Hello again.
Hello, how are you? Hello, very nice and proper. Hi. I got to tell you, I was really excited earlier last week when they told me that we were going to have MiMi Rose on the show. So I was doing all my prep.
I was excited.
Yeah, no, but then I realized MiMi Rose, not MiMi Rose Howard. So I was from Girls, and so, but then, you know.
I was first.
You're here, so we're going with it. We are going with it. I had a huge crush on Mimi Rogers growing up, too. So the name Mimi is good.
Oh, I loved her.
Oh, so good. Is Mimi short for anything?
No.
Okay, it's just on your birth certificate, it's Mimi.
On my birth certificate, it says Mimi and it has 2 capital M's. Yeah.
2 capital M's?
2 capital M's. Legal.
That's pretty cool. Legal. Wow. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read your bio because you are pretty impressive. All right, you ready for this?
I'm ready. Tell me about myself.
Mimi has a passion for entertainment since her grade school days. She's a graduate of the Kanbar Institute, Tisch School of the Arts at New York University, and currently furthering her education at UCLA Extension for TV writing. In addition to employment with A&E Television Networks, BBC, PBS, VME Media, and CBS, Mimi, 2 capital M's, has worked on music videos, commercials, short films, scripted, unscripted, and documentaries since 2003. She's lived and worked in Chicago, New York City, London, Tokyo, and now Los Angeles. Her hobbies include archery and learning new languages. She's currently studying Arabic. You are Mimi Rose, the most eclectic person in the history of the world. It's amazing. Yeah.
I'm very eclectic. That's a great word for me. Eccentric and eclectic.
Oh, you know what? This is going to go very well. This is going to go great. I'm excited. How's Arabic? Let's talk about Arabic for a minute because I have never in my life met someone who speaks Arabic nor studying Arabic compared to learning English.
It's hard, but it's simple and more simple or simplified in different ways. The alphabet is a lot shorter.
Okay.
So learning the symbols is nice and easy. They only have a certain amount of sounds, and then they only have 3 vowels. So
3 vowels.
And U. Yeah, and then there's an accent, basically mark, like a different type of accent mark next to the symbol that determines if there's a vowel. Okay,
so typically, someone will say, "I want to learn Spanish because there's a lot of Spanish people in life or French." Do you have a lot of Arabic people in your life, or what was the reasoning behind wanting to learn Arabic?
So I have studied French, Italian, and Japanese, and my partner has studied Spanish and German, and we wanted to learn a new language over the quarantine. And I've always had a fascination with ancient Egypt. And so the only one that we found at this one school that was basically something we hadn't both learned was Arabic. And what a great secret language to have. We can write notes to each other and nobody's going to know what it is. It's backwards. So that's our new secret way to talk about everybody right in front of them.
So here's the one thing I remember about Egypt from grade school. Mesopotamia. That's it. That's all I got. That's the only thing I remember about Egypt.
I know. Yeah.
Pyramids, I know that, but Mesopotamia is the only word I remember.
Yeah, Mesopotamia was a bunch of different countries together before Egypt broke off into its own. Pangea was that's way further back.
Okay. Give me one fact about Egypt or something so that I will have one more thing in my bag when someone mentions Egypt.
That's so good. I was just watching this whole thing about curses. And the curse of King Tutankhamun and how they're was apparently on the scripture of the door saying something about 7 deaths before somebody could like find the tomb. I believe it was 7, something like that. And within a year of them discovering and opening up the tomb, tons of people, including the big financial backer who was helping to fund the expedition, all died from horrible things. He died from an infection on his face.
On his face.
He had a mosquito bite that got infected, and
that's it.
That's disgusting. Yeah, it was just like this huge welt, and it just.
So what you're saying is like Indiana Jones, those movies are very, very far-fetched. There's just no way. You're going to get curses. Yeah. Okay.
But they're so much fun.
They are so much fun. They're making a 5th, and I heard that in the flashback scenes, because Why Notties and everything else, Chris Pratt is going to be the young Indiana Jones in the flashback scenes. How do we feel about that? We're not sure. Mimi Rose is not sure how she feels about that. She needs to process.
I mean, Indiana Jones, I wanted to live in the Indiana Jones world growing up.
Yeah.
I loved those movies. So, and I don't not like Chris Pratt. He's just a little goofier.
Yep, I agree. Yeah.
Than
we'll see.
I would imagine.
I don't know. Who knows?
I mean, it's not like I have a say in it, but I'm still going to see it.
You are. Well, we both are. Everybody. Hopefully, at that point, everybody's going to be able to go back to the theaters or pay $30 to watch it at home.
Right.
Okay, so Mimi, I want to talk about something very cool that a few of our guests on this show have been a part of, and that is women in media. I don't know if you did any research on me, but I have 4 daughters, and I want my daughters to grow up and have the same opportunities that I've had, and that's a whole discussion for another time. But tell me a little bit about women in media, what it's doing for women in the industry. You told me today you are currently working or did work. It's in my phone. I don't want to lift up my phone, but just give me the whole shebang about women in media.
So Women in Media is an organization that helps women in film, TV, and different adjacent fields network with each other in order to help further our careers, but also to help there be more parity within the industry. So more women on sets, equal representation of women and minorities. Because right now it's a very male dominated world.
I will agree.
Yes. Especially in entertainment, even still. It's a little less so than when I first started so many years ago. But there's a lot of room for change. And a big part of that is people who do the hiring tend to say, well, there aren't a lot of women gaffers. There aren't a lot of women, blah, blah. I don't know a lot. And we're out here trying to change that. So we're reaching out to different people, letting them know. And then by all of us kind of working together and getting to know each other, we're able to hire.
Yeah. That is really cool. We had a guest on here a few weeks ago, Sati, who actually made her short film through the Women on Media. I don't want to call it a contest. That might be the right word, but what is that? It's not a contest, but what is that? What is that thing?
Yeah, it's the camaraderie is the name of the event.
There it is.
And so there's different stages. The first stage is writers submit their scripts. Then the finalists get to go to this great workshop and work with different mentors in the industry and have their scripts read by professional actors. Wow. And then they get feedback on how to improve their scripts. They do a rewrite, they resubmit. And then the finalists get their films produced by Women in Media.
That is so cool. And Sati's film was amazing. The subject matter, I don't know if you're aware of it, but was about women who were in the military that came back that have difficulty finding female sanitary things during that time of the month. And I just was blown away by how beautifully she told that story. So that's awesome. I do want to ask you, though, you said a minute ago that back when you started working on film. So if you don't mind telling us a little bit, what was it like working on film before there were talkies?
Before they were talking? Well, before the talkies, we didn't have to worry about hiring audio people.
That's right. No, that was a joke. That was a joke. You're younger than me. So I have this question for you that, like, every time I see this in someone's bio, I'm so curious about, because I did not go to school to do what I currently do and will do for the rest of my life. I just feel like I was born with this natural knack to do whatever. But you have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Film and Television from New York University. I would love to hear about what sorts of things, twofold, what sorts of things do you learn at a school like that for Bachelor of Fine Arts in Film and Television, but then also, what can't you learn, and can you only learn being on set, being a producer? Like, where's the separation there? I'm very curious to hear that.
I love that question.
Oh, thank you.
That's a really, and I think anybody who's looking into getting into the industry, especially if they're toying with the idea of going to an institution first, should ask themselves. There are a lot of film schools out there.
Yes.
A lot of film schools out there. And what drew me to NYU versus some other institutions is that all of the professors in the film department were working professionals. Mm-hmm. So some of the smaller colleges will have their professors will be previous students who couldn't find jobs in the industry, or
worked on that one show 18 years ago.
Who just aren't working anymore. And so they have a very narrow-minded, archaic idea of what the industry is. Yeah. So by going to NYU, I was able to learn hands-on with equipment and with people who knew the city, which was awesome, because I'd never been to New York before going to school there. Who know the city and who know the industry, to help guide you in a realistic way. That being said, there 100% are things that you cannot learn at film school that you just have to be on set for. And you have to learn in the city that you want to be in. And you may not know that right away.
Right.
I have lived in a lot of cities.
According to your bio, you had Chicago, New York, London, Tokyo, and Los Angeles.
I'm a little bit of a gypsy. So
that's cool. Hence the necklace. I like it.
Yeah. I just, I go where the wind takes me. But yeah, so there are things you can't learn. And that really is like the tiny niche positions that are very prevalent on major films and big TV shows. You may know what a director is and an assistant director, or your idea of like what a film school assistant director is. Yeah. But there's first ADs, second ADs, there's the beyond the producer, there's a whole production office. Yeah. That helps with the production. And then there is the studio that you have to answer to. Yeah. And knowing that there are those many roles, I think in advance kind of would be more helpful to people to figure out what track they need to be on. It's a little different in New York than in LA. It's a little, you set your sight on one job in LA. I want to be a line producer, and there is a clear path. Okay. You take, very clear steps to get there. Yeah. You have to have one job before the other, and then you get there and you're there, and that's it.
That's it.
But I didn't
want to be line producers. It's crazy to me, but people want to be a line producer. Good for them.
Yeah, they do. God bless all of them.
I can't. There's no way.
That is a hard job.
So here's the opposite. So because I didn't go to school and I directed my first film 2 years ago, and then last year, I have this fear, and it's irrational. I'll admit it's irrational, that somebody's going to come up and be like, "What are you doing? Like, what, or how are you even?" So the thing for me is like, what would I have learned at school? Okay, maybe I would have learned a few more technical terms, but I will say this, because you're a producer, a lot of what you do is we're going to get into everything else you do too. But a lot of what producers do and directors do is dealing with talent, and that means dealing with egos and dealing with personalities and knowing how to finesse that. So my degree, oddly enough, is in pastoral ministries and counseling. So on film sets, guess what I'm doing? I'm counseling, I'm pastoring, I'm making sure you like you, and even though you guys don't like each other over here, offset, you need to like. So those kinds of things I don't think you can learn in film school. Maybe they have a class on, but that for me, on the two films I've worked on and the other smaller things, the biggest thing that I've noticed is egos and people and personalities and how to balance that. So could you say anything to that?
I mean, life skills, that's part of growing up. And part of being a human is learning how to communicate with people.
Yeah.
And I had a theater director who said this really great in high school. Theater is a collaborative art form, and so is film. It's a collaborative art form, and in order to collaborate, you need to be able to communicate clearly.
Yes.
Because time is money.
Yes. I think communicate is a new word that you just invented for communicate clearly. So just communicate.
Communicate. Just, everybody needs to communicate. Put that on your resumes.
We just invented a word on and action. By the way, if you have questions for MiMi, go ahead and start submitting them on our Facebook page. We will take audience questions in a little bit. One of the things, you're very cool all around, but one of the things I think is really cool is the Groundlings. You happen to be a part of the Groundlings. Let me read off a few alum of the Groundlings, okay? Okay. J.J. Abrams, who obviously, as you can see by these Star Wars things behind me, I'm a little bit of a fan.
Love J.J.
My shirt. Craig T. Nelson, coach, among other things. Lisa Kudrow, Angela Kinsey from The Office, Chris Parnell from Everything Funny in the World. He's hilarious. Maya Rudolph, and of course, MiMi Rose. We're the cream of the crop here. So my first question is, I have a bunch of questions about the Groundlings. Who were you there with that may have been notable now that we might know of that maybe you were there at the same time with?
I don't think I was actually there with anybody
that is
that's big yet.
Yes.
There were pre-pandemic, there were a bunch of different improv schools of theater here in LA.
Yeah.
And some iOS shut down and UCB just closed their big theater. So Groundlings is really the only one holding on right now, which is kind of sad. But I didn't go through the whole entire program because it just it clicked for me, and then
you're like,
that was good.
Yeah.
But I do all of their workshops and stuff.
Okay.
Me. That part of their program is more worth it to me, because it really depends on who your instructor is. It's all
I totally agree.
Your experience changes every time.
Yeah.
And I like consistency.
Yeah, no, it's me too. Kind of like a film with a director. Depends. The film's going to turn out depending on the director. You're going to turn out
right.
Depending.
Yeah.
So, okay. Having said that, what sorts of things do the Groundlings focus on that they're able to constantly churn out such high talent? What kind of narrow it down a little bit? What separates them from the rest of the pack?
They're character based.
Okay.
So they want you to know your character inside and out. You learn how to physicalize your character, vocalize your character, think like your character, and then you're given scenarios based on these characters that you've built the entire class, and you have to commit 200% each time. To your performance. Sometimes your performances are with other people, sometimes they're not. But the objective is to do these different improv courses so that you can do their writing courses.
Is it always comedic based there?
Mostly, yeah.
Mostly, okay. So when you talk about diving into the character, are you talking method, living that character, or is it a little less deep than method? It's definitely a method-y. Yeah.
Kind of, but yeah, it's less. I don't want to say less deep. It's more lighthearted.
Okay, that's fair.
If you want to say, because they're basing it off of shows, so you're learning how to write sketch shows, things to make people laugh.
Yeah.
Without going for the cheap shots, the
right.
poop and pee jokes and things like that.
Right.
It's like an elevated comedic experience.
Yeah. Upper echelon. So, because this show airs on TV in Northern California, and our primary audience is from Northern California, I always like to ask these kinds of questions. What advice would you give to somebody who is wanting to take that next step? How do you get accepted to Groundlings or a place like it? We're going to kind of transition to talk about networking and all that stuff in a minute, but I would love for you to talk about the dedication it takes from your personal experience to get to where you're at and where you were.
So for anybody it's all about finding what works for you. And if a school doesn't work for you, that's okay. Especially down here, there are hundreds. You could walk every block and see a different comedy school or drama school or general acting school. And it's all about finding your niche, finding the people that make you feel comfortable in order to help you express what you want to express, and then build on that and grow.
I think that's brilliant because for whatever reason in Northern California, I've noticed, I think naively, and God bless him, but naively people think I can be this actor with all this range. I can be comedic. I can be stoic. It's really hard to be able to pull that kind of range. And so you were talking about niche. What was your niche? What did you focus on personally for you?
Well, at first I thought my niche was actually drama. And then I was told by some agents in a showcase that everybody does drama. And it's actually easier to keep people in a serious zone and make them cry, and it's really hard to genuinely make people laugh.
Okay, I like that.
Once I realized I was pretty good at making people laugh, I was like, oh, comedy is my thing, because comedy was always easy for me.
Yeah,
so I thought because it was easy and being funny and a goofball is easy for me.
Sure,
that drama is the harder thing to do. The better thing to accomplish. Although
I do remember Robin Williams, one of his famous quotes, saying that the line between laughter and tears is razor thin. And I do believe that because, the films I've worked on, I've seen that transition from an actor from, just wrecked, ugly crying to being able to laugh a moment later in the conversation. And you have to be able to pull that from within yourself.
Yeah. So it's good. That's a natural thing that happens to all of us.
Totally. Absolutely. Like when they told me MiMi Rose was our guest and I was excited, then it was you. I cried, but I pulled myself out of it. Here we are. Okay. So going back to the hardships for theaters, we had Tim Busfield on as one of our early guests, 6 months ago. And he co-founded one of the theaters here in Sacramento, B Street Theater. It's an amazing theater. I don't really have a point other than to say it's really hard for theater owners right now. It's really hard. And we're losing a whole section of society that want to focus on the arts. And I'm so ready for this pandemic to be over. Now we're going to talk about what you do on sets. But man, I feel so bad for these theater owners, these small box owners. It's so important. It's so important to get your start there. If you want to add on to that at all or not, we can.
No, it is. It's very hard. And the theaters that are surviving right now are ones that diversified before the pandemic. I work with the Actors Company LA, which is a theater here. They actually have 3 theaters, but they have classes as well, in addition to voiceover classes and agents showcases. And they have a slew of film festivals all year. Yeah. So even though their 3 physical theaters are shut down, they're running classes over Zoom, and they're still getting submissions for their film festivals, even though they can't physically have the festival to screen. They're getting all those submissions in. So that's keeping them afloat, in addition to all the different grants. But unfortunately, they've had a lot of meetings with all the other theaters in the area, and a lot of them have to close their doors permanently. Because that's a theater takes up a lot of space. And that's a lot of rent, especially.
A year and a half ago here in Sacramento, my business partner and I opened our theater, which is also our office. So we do, the chores out of there. But we had this theater. We had Ed Asner there, and I think 100 and something people came, and then that was it. And we just started, so we didn't. This was we were able to shift and pivot very quickly. But people where this is their bread and butter. Okay, all right. We've talked about that enough. I would love, so you are, speaking of acting and all this fun stuff, you are really talented. And I was watching your reels and listening, you do voiceover and all this stuff, but we have your acting reel and we're going to play it right now. And then I'm going to pick it apart as a director and just make you cry. Okay.
Ma'am, may I take it back?
No. You may not take my bags. Filthy. Oh, wait, what? So you guys are filming to broadcast. Is it HBO?
thing you need to do is put your puppy down. Mwah! We go. Woo! But now, how are we going to enjoy our beverage? Boop. And a little. Boop. Mmm. Tastes like virginity. With this pina colada virgin, you're guaranteed to stay a virgin.
High Noon Hard Seltzer. Real vodka, real juice. 100 calories. Things just got real.
The convenience, you can't put a price on that.
Okay, so I had not seen that version. Whatever version I watched on your website did not include all of those scenes. So first off, kudos to you. Congratulations on that acting role. Second of all, I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight if I do not get a straight, honest answer to this question. Do you own a puck oven or not?
I do.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't fake actress hiring. Okay. No. Fantastic. Okay, and so here's the other thing, because this is the world we live in now, and everybody's offended about everything. I didn't know you knew Japanese, so I watched that clip. I think you were Rapunzel, right? That's who you were kind of.
I was supposed to be Joan of Arc.
Okay, well, you were wearing a clearly Disney, like from the Disney store.
Oh, I know.
Okay, well, then don't say.
I didn't have that. That wasn't my decision to make. They just handed me a princess costume. I was like, sure. I don't think it's fair for you to be like, I was supposed to be like, who would know that? Okay, but I saw that clip and you're speaking Japanese, and I'm like, oh man. But no, you do speak Japanese. That wasn't you being quote unquote insensitive. No, I mean, I used to. It's been a few years, and I haven't had anybody to talk to except for my dog. So I've lost a lot of my.
Yeah, I mean that happens. So speaking of dogs, I've heard your dog in the background with a squeaky toy. Can you bring him to the front right now? Can he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's see him.
Doki Doki-chan, your presence is requested. He's coming.
What is his name?
Doki Doki.
Doki Doki.
I got him when I lived in Japan. Yeah, it's the sound of your heart fluttering when you're around your crush. That's a Doki Doki.
Okay.
He makes everyone go Doki Doki.
If you say so. Let's see Doki Doki.
He's coming. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Doki Doki is precious. We like Doki Doki. Doki Doki can stay if he or she, I can't tell. If it looks like a girl, maybe there's pink on her.
It's a boy.
It's a boy. Okay,
it's
whatever.
Okay.
Doki Doki can stay. Doki, oh, there you go. I like it. Doki Doki can stay.
Happy to stay.
Yes.
He was only yelling because he wasn't here.
Yeah.
He knows he's the star, not me.
Well, totally. Look at it. I mean, all of everybody's eyeballs are now going to Doki Doki, and that's the way it should be. He's beautiful.
He has his own Instagram, Doki Doki-chan.
Okay, Bex, speaking of Instagram, Bex, go ahead and load up the non-unicorn picture, please.
The non-unicorn picture.
So, MiMi, I like to play a little game called What Is This? This is your first ever Instagram post. Talk to me about it.
Oh, this is the British pub down the street from where I lived in Yokohama.
Okay. Wait. In Japan, there's a British pub.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's owned by a British expat. I can't remember his name, but he lived a couple apartments up from me. Really nice guy. He had a Japanese wife who I met once. But
okay. All right. I don't know if that's relevant to the story, but okay, cool. So that was your first Instagram post.
Yeah.
Did you know that in 4 days that post will be exactly 8 years old?
That's depressing.
Well, I'm just bringing you the news. Don't get upset. Yeah. Okay, we have one more picture in the game I like to call What Is This? Please explain it. And there you go.
Oh, this was a headshot?
Question mark? Are you Ron Burgundy? This was a headshot.
Am I Ron Burgundy? I do love that movie.
What's happening?
Yeah, this is at the end of my headshots, and my cousins, who I think they were like 9 at the time, had gotten me this for my birthday. So I took the picture with my unicorn onesie on.
You're throwing the cousins in there. I mean, you're throwing people in the bus right now. Okay, all right, fair enough.
I would wear it regardless. That's why they bought it for me.
Right, and you have. And
I needed a picture.
Yeah.
In it.
There are pictures of me on MySpace in onesies, like playing Guitar Hero in a like onesie from Target. So I will.
Oh, nice.
We'll call that even. All right. So you're acting. You're acting. Well, did you ask a question? I'm sorry. Did you? What was that?
I just said they're comfortable.
It's super comfy. Super comfy. Okay, so you're acting real. There is a lot of range there. There's a lot of comedy, but there's also dramedy. Because you said that guy was disgusting. What was that from? That looked like actually something I would want to watch. That looked good.
Yeah, it's a Japanese film about world, like post World War II-ish Canada.
Okay.
There was a baseball league that was just with Japanese immigrants because they weren't allowed to play in the actual league. And so the guy I was being horrible to was one of the lead baseball players. He was really great.
So Bellhop was the lead baseball player?
Yeah. He was
Okay,
one of
got
the baseball players.
You guys end up in love at the end of the movie? Like, is that what happens?
No, I wish.
Oh, sad. Sad.
No,
No, your acting reel is great. And part of what makes it great is the range that we talked about. There's a lot of stuff in there that is funny. I mean, you've got, and I think some of that stuff, if I'm tracking, it said MiMi's cocktails or MiMi's mimosas or something.
MiMi's mocktails.
Mocktails. This is stuff that's coming from you. So I want to transition now to talk about your writing, because you are, what can I say, first and foremost a writer? Or can I say, yeah, I mean, you really are focused on writing. It's a passion of yours. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love to write. With 5 kids in life, it's harder. So I guess my first question would be, for the people watching, what sorts of things does Mimi Rose do to prepare herself to sit down and focus on writing? Because I think that's the hardest step.
I have to have a clean workspace.
Okay.
So even if it's just a corner, and where my desk is actually on wheels, so I can kind of move it into the cleanest corner. Because if I look up and I'm thinking and I see something dirty, I can't. I have to then get up and clean it. I'm a little OCD like that. I'm like, I can't look at the wall over there.
Keep looking to the right. I mean, is there something to the right we should see or no?
No, it's just a bookcase, but everything can always be more organized.
Yes.
And it's, it's part of like learning to focus, and actually putting stuff on the page is the first step. It doesn't matter what it is. You have to write in order to be a writer.
I'm going to show you my desk right now. I hope you still continue the video. Okay, this is going to be. This is my cluttered. I mean, look at how disgusted you are right now. I mean, it's bad.
Does your mother know about this?
I don't think she does. I don't think she does. And if she did, she's going to be disappointed. So you're saying step one is clean your workspace area.
Some people I know, it could look like a bomb went off and they're just able to focus.
That's me. I'm able to do that.
I can't do that.
Okay. So do you think that's imperative for most writers, or that's just a personal thing?
No, what's imperative for most writers is that they find what works for them. What helps you
love it
get words out on the page that turns gibberish into gold. Like, that's the most important thing. There's no one method. I've listened to a million podcasts by a million different writers, and everybody's journey is different. Everybody's style is different. Everybody's method of getting the work done is completely different. It's just, trying it out. Somebody recommends something, you try it. If it doesn't work, try something else.
And like acting we talked about a few minutes ago, I would also add that don't write out of your genre, your niche. Like, if you're not a funny person, don't write comedy. If you're not, relationship focused, it's probably going to be hard for you to write relationships, George Lucas, if you're listening. Right. But what sorts of things do you, obviously you've written comedy, but what sorts of things do you like to write about? And then I'm curious, because sometimes for me, when I've written scripts, it's like my fingers are just doing the work. These characters are just talking. So how do you get to that point? Like, talk to me about that and how fun that is.
That's when you've created a world. So that's beyond just the spectrum of writing a story. It's about just being in the world that you built. And that may start with just one person. I'm thinking of this one dude, and like I'm thinking of all his characteristics and how he looks and how he acts, and then what kind of, I ask yourself questions. what does this guy do for a living? How does he talk to the people at work? And what are the rules of the universe? And then all of a sudden the stories will kind of happen. Like, what would happen if this guy, like, I don't know, went to a car wash and got stuck in the middle of the car wash? How would he react to that? And then that where you're once you can put your character anywhere and you can find something that can turn it into a story, then you have your own world, and it's endless.
Do you do those character maps where you write the character name, then you branch off and you're like stubborn, hardworking, or do you just go for it?
I just go for it. Once I have, for me, it's like a feeling. Once I have the feeling of the character, then I just go back to that feeling, and I know. But some people do love those character boards, and I have done them in workshops and things. And they help you get started if you're, blocked. Yeah. Like I said, just writing is writing. It doesn't matter if it's in bubbles with little lines. Like, totally. That's part of it. Yeah.
I would answer this first, but I want to hear your answer because I don't want to lead you. But why do you personally love writing?
The power.
That's my answer too. Because you're in control of everything.
Yeah, everything.
Totally.
You get the answers you want. You get the conflict you want. And I think that's why I wanted to be in the storytelling business. Because as a kid, I would watch stuff and go, I would have done that different. I would have had them do this. And then I was like, oh, wait, I can work in there on that other side of the TV and do that stuff. So that's why I'm here.
That's the exact reason I love writing, because you create the world, you create the conflict, you can throw your characters down a well without an axe to get out and figure out all that out. And I think that's also why I gravitated towards directing from acting, because I started as an actor, but I realized as a director, you are in control of me. I'm sorry, I'll be quiet.
No, the dog is starting to.
I'm so sorry, me. I will be quiet. Because as a director, you get to control. And I hate using the word control, but you really are the author. I love that word better. You're the author of everything, the emotion, the scene, the interactions. For me, I love acting, but directing is something special. And I think directing and writing go hand in hand. I would love someday to work on a film that the writer is there with me and just have us collaborate at the same time. So we're kind of the same there. So you have a spec that I think I'm getting this right. You have a spec script for Schitt's Creek, right? That you wrote. So in my assumption, I'm assuming you love that show. You think it's brilliant. Okay. So what other shows do you consider to have excellent writing?
Oh man, Rick and Morty.
Okay.
Is great. Just being able to straddle the line between science and comedy. Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. And keeping the jargon going, regardless of how many writers are on the show. Yeah. I'm trying to think of other shows that I'm watching currently too. Big Mouth.
Ooh, I haven't watched that.
It's raunchy. I'm not gonna lie. It's raunchy, but it does a great job of bringing comedy into puberty. Okay. Being an awkward teenager, growing up, having all the crazy things happen to your mind and your body and your friends, and you're in your own zone and don't realize what's going. I feel the anxiety come back when I watch it, but I'm able to make fun of it all. Absolutely. So that's great for me. That's a sign of good writing.
I think the first 7 seasons of The Office before Michael left were just impeccable. Yeah. Perfect. Then the train fell off the track. I don't know what they were doing the last 2 seasons. Then obviously, I would hope you would agree, Breaking Bad from start to finish. Oh, yeah. Done. Flawless. Vince Gilligan. I've watched that show now 3 times through. I still catch new things, and because I know the characters now, I'm watching his plan from episode 1 with that character. I'm like, wow, he foreshadowed 4 seasons, into the future. Yeah. But as a filmmaker, the thing that I always go back to, if a film or television show or play or whatever is bad, it always for me comes back to the writing. You could direct the hell out of it, you can act the hell out of it, but if it doesn't have the story and writing there, it doesn't matter who's in it or who's directing it, who produced it. You're done. You're done. Yeah. All right, we have an audience question, so we're going to get to that right now. I hope it's a fun one. I love that I don't give Bex any moments. Audience question. All right, Sack Geeks asks, what are some of the new? Oh, here we go. So this is another thing we haven't talked about yet. So what are some of the regulations with COVID filming? How do you become a COVID-19 compliance officer? So don't answer that yet. Let me tell everybody once again that you are a COVID compliance officer. And what's really funny to me now, after 40 minutes of doing this interview and 20 minutes on the phone today, let's just be honest. I'm thinking COVID compliance officer in the same way I think of the person at the DMV. I am not wanting to hang out with that person. I'm not wanting to see that person. So what on earth drove you to want to do that? Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay, there you go.
The pandemic happened.
Yeah.
And this new position became a thing. Why not get trained for it and guarantee that you're gonna be needed on sets?
Yeah.
That's what drove me. And I'm a germaphobe, so I'm a good person to have telling people not to touch stuff. Yeah, I've got an arsenal of Lysol. It's just my friends know. Like, I don't let them come over and see me. It's a thing.
We talked about you've been it's crazy.
Yeah, I've been locked in. But it's important.
Yeah.
People want to work.
Yeah.
People need money.
Yep.
People want to create things, and the COVID compliance officer is there to make sure that it happens and nobody goes to the hospital.
What are your roles on set? And I mean, look, I'm the least serious guy on earth, but let's get serious for a minute, because this is a very serious thing. What do you do on set? What are you looking for? What is your job? So
the most important thing to know is that a COVID compliance officer should be separate from a set medic.
Okay.
If somebody gets hurt, the set medic is the first one there. The set medic can't be taking everybody's temperature and then get called to help someone. So the COVID compliance officer is really the only person on set who comes into contact with everyone else. So they're taking the most risk on themselves. Even though they should be in full PPE, wearing gloves, have a mask, have a face guard.
Yeah.
It means, they ask everybody their symptoms, if they're experiencing any symptoms when they first come in, checking their temperature.
Everybody, like literally everybody?
Everyone.
Wow.
Everyone. We have a little spreadsheet, and then you check several times a day. You make sure that everybody has access to PPE. A lot of people like to bring their own PPE, which is great. And by PPE, I mean personal protective equipment.
I was like, they bring their loans for their business with them? What is happening?
Right, yeah. So gloves, masks, face shields, if that's what they want to wear, those kind of things. So making sure that's available. So if somebody's mask breaks, we're able to give it to them. Making sure there's hand sanitizer available everywhere.
Not
and the people know, don't hand something to someone.
Yeah, yeah.
You put it on a table, and then you go, okay, it's over there.
What about props? What about props in a scene? Do you have to handle those?
Me personally, no.
Okay.
It's still up to the prop master, but they have to know the right way. Like if they're gonna give it to an actor, you don't hand it to an actor. You put it down somewhere, and the actor gets it. Have PPE available. Spray alcohol works fine. You can spray it. I mean, now COVID is said to spread more through vapors of the mouth and the nose than touching things, but that doesn't mean you're not going to have vapors on your hands. There's still a lower chance, but a chance that you could touch something. So the chance is still there.
I don't care how many times you say
limiting the chance.
Right. I don't care how many times you say PPE or explain it. I'm still going to think of your business loan every time you say it.
Yeah. Or like you have to go to the bathroom. So
I'm 10-1. So who taught you? Is it a class you took? Was it an online class? How does one become up here in Sacramento? It would be great for a few people to be COVID compliance officers. How does one become a COVID compliance officer?
It's super easy. There are tons of different health organizations online that will supply different levels of COVID compliance officer training. I am trained specifically for non-union productions because that is mostly what I deal with. And then there are classes for union productions as well. The union productions, the fee to get certified is going to cost more. Because you have to deal with the different unions. And each union right now, because of the pandemic, has different guidelines for their people in order to be on set. So it's about kind of managing all those different guidelines.
And would you say it's like the most serious thing on a film set that you've ever experienced? Like, people don't mess around. It's not funny. We're going to be very serious about this. I mean, there's not, right? Or no, tell me if it's different. I'd like to know.
It should be.
Yeah.
It should be.
Yeah.
And that's the COVID compliance officer's job. And if I'm not a COVID compliance officer, I'm usually overseeing the COVID compliance officer. And it's no joke. It's people's health.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Go ahead if you need to. Go ahead. I know that your mom calls at
I have
7:45.
no idea where that noise is coming from.
Okay.
Yeah, that was really weird.
So one of the things we talked about today it could be Bex, by the way. Maybe Bex is in the background lingering.
Right? No, it's not my phone.
That's true. We talked today because every single step I've taken to get to where I'm at, I can attribute to networking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You go to a party, you get on a set as the guy who hands coffee to the guy who hands the pencils. It doesn't matter. So you said something today that's really funny. During the pandemic, it was the only funny thing you said, by the way, today. So
okay, good.
Networking without being weird.
Mm-hmm.
Explain.
It's a skill. It's a thing. I think a lot of people have social anxiety about networking, regardless of if they have diagnosed social anxiety. Yeah, it's a thing. People are unsure how to, you know how to make friends. Well, most people know how to make friends. I would hope, knock on wood. Who knows after this is all over.
Right.
But networking is something different. You don't want to come off as desperate. You don't want to come off as the awkward weirdo. So learning how to just be a person.
Yeah.
And that's a valuable skill as an employee, because nobody wants to, especially in our industry, it's a very intimate setting and people don't want to work with robots. They want to know you. They want to know that they can rely on you to have their back if something goes wrong, to help them fix it. That's really important. And just getting to know people as people when you don't need a job, when you're not looking for a job, when they're not looking for a job.
MiMi, that is so good. MiMi, that's so good. It's like the friend who only calls you when they're driving home from work.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Infuriates me. Call me on Saturday at 2. Like that drives me crazy. That was awesome. I love that you said that. I love talking about networking because it's helped me, and I think it's super important. But I also think, and I say this almost every show, I can't stress enough that along with networking, a positive attitude is going to get you so much further than any schooling or knowledge or anything else you have. Because I'll say it again, I'll say it 1,000 times. I'd rather work with a no-name actor who is super hungry, super passionate, and has a great attitude than an Oscar winner who's just doing it to get a paycheck and is phoning it in. And that goes from the actors all the way down to the PAs. So the stuff I've worked on, I have brought unless they had bad attitude, but I brought almost everyone with me because I'm appreciative of their good attitude. I'm 43. I had to start out down there too. So if you want to speak to that a little bit, but man, I can't harp on that enough.
Yeah, being the best version of yourself is going to help you in your personal life as much as it is with finding a job.
Yeah.
And keeping a job and getting called back for more jobs from people you've already worked with, and getting called for jobs with people you haven't worked with because they were talking to somebody that you have worked with.
That's right.
And part of that is when you get hired on a job, talking to people.
Yeah. And
just
since we're
getting to know people while you're there.
It's so like, I just love what you said about being their friend. Like when it's not necessary to be their friend, it's so important. Like there are certain people who will call and text me when I post on Facebook or on my social media. I'm like, hey, I'm working on a project. I will hear from them. But guess what? I won't hear from them at all anytime else. Right. And it's so, okay. All right. We're not going to be negative. We are talking about the pandemic. So what sorts of things do you think, because you are like in the thick of it? I'm a director, so I'm on a job, then I'm off a job for a long time, but you're like in the thick of it. What sorts of things do you think are going to stick when the pandemic's over? Like you talked today about virtual coffee. I think it's brilliant. Like we don't need to go physically meet 45 minutes away to have a 20, let's Zoom. But what sorts of things do you think are going to stick on a film set and off a film set after this is all over?
Yeah. I think a lot of the paperless technology that has become a lot more popular because of the pandemic is going to stick around, which is great for the environment, but it also means that people can work remotely, especially in pre-production. There are a bunch of different apps and like computer programs that you can, edit scripts and send notes to each other instantly. And that's going to be the future rather than having physical production offices. There may still be production office, but it's going to be a lot smaller. A lot more people are going to be working remotely. And I think a lot more work is going to get done because of that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think what is the phrase? Necessity is the mother of all invention. I think that's how that goes. And we've necessitated so many things right now that are hard because of what we're going through. But when this is over, it's going to change the scope of film. It's going to change the scope of auditions and everything else. And I'm kind of excited about it because maybe you're going to hear from an actor or an actress. I know people self-tape from all over the world, but before it was I'll just say there was kind of a stigma about it. Like, oh, they're self-taping. They can't bother to show up here. Well, not anymore. That's going to kind of go away. You're like, wow, that person in Maine did a great job. Let's fly him out here and have him. I'm really, really, really excited for that. So I kind of skipped over something that I think is very cool. You worked on a show, and I want to talk about, to wrap all this up, I want to talk about the skill of a producer, because I think for me, I'm a very creative person, fly by the seat of my pants. I don't really worry about the I's being dotted, the T's being crossed. It's rare to find someone like you that's very creative and it can also produce. But you were a producer on the show on the Disney Channel called Stuck in the Middle. And I want to know, because for just in my experience, the term producer means such different things from one gig to the next. So A, what did you do on Stuck in the Middle? But then B, there's a lot of people in Sacramento that I think that I've met that would be amazing producers. And if you want to talk about a little bit about what sorts of things can they focus on?
Mm-hmm. So it's Stuck in the Middle. I was the line producer's assistant for the 3rd season. Okay. And that, I mean, being a line producer is a hard job, and being a line producer is different than being a different type of producer. There's so many types of producers on a set. Like I said, like in film school, they're like, there's a you could be a producer. They don't say there are 15 different types of producers.
What does that mean? Yeah.
So a line producer is an accountant. They're going down line by line in the budget, hence the name, and checking with every single department that they're staying within their budget.
Yeah.
And every purchase they need has to get approved. And then in the end, they reconcile everything with the budget. So it's a lot, but they're working with all the different departments.
Yeah.
Being a producer, you want to dot the I's and cross the T's as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Because once things get into production, then you're going to have to be the person who flies by the seat of their pants. So, and creative problem solving is a huge skill.
Yes.
Knowing how to solve something in an instant, like, it may be something completely different than what you thought was going to happen, but guess what? They're still going to film, and you need to make it happen. So there's sorry.
You know what's so invaluable about producers, and I mean even line producers and things like that, is their ability and that burden of responsibility they have to not let the director and the talent know all the bomb that's going off behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, no.
I can't tell you when we were done. It's now called Hope for the Holidays, but my film, The Talking Tree, and then also my other film, there was so much going on behind the scenes that I was not aware of until we were done shooting. Had I, as the director, known about that I probably would have been crippled, like stood in stone, wondering and worrying about everything. So the producer just puts everything on their shoulders. So it's so curious to me. Because I'm creative. I couldn't, someone brought a briefcase to me right now and said, here's $1 million, produce a film. I'd be like, no, thank you. You're creative. Like tell me about you a little bit. Like, that's amazing that you're able to do both.
Well, being a creative person, you understand what the creative people are trying to accomplish. So it makes it easier to support them.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. As a producer, or even it being in the production office in general, is utter chaos. You know everything that's going on. And the production offices are the unsung heroes of film and TV because they're the ones working the latest. They're the ones there the most days, and they're dealing with everything, and nobody knows. And that's how you know that they're doing their job well.
Yeah. Okay, so I always end that's a brilliant answer. I always end every show with the same thing because I think it's the most important thing we do on the show, and that is giving you the forum to talk about dedication, sticking to it, and not giving up on yourself. If you have any words of wisdom for our audience right now about that, go for it.
I mean, if you know what you want to do and you're passionate about it, you'll find a way to make it work. I've always known that I wanted to be in entertainment, and I will be in entertainment at any level, any type of different department, and you'll make it work, and then find your way into the path that you want.
Yeah.
But find your way.
Yeah.
You can't get to where you want without looking and trying.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's so imperative that you just have to have this belief in yourself that if you're passionate about it, your opportunity will come, because people are going to notice that. So
and always learn. That's another thing. Never stop learning.
Right.
I've been in this industry over 13 years, and I'm still taking classes
Totally.
and going to school and learning more, because it's always changing. There's always more to learn.
I mean, yeah, your bio says you're at the UCLA Extension right now, and it's in a writer's fellowship, and you went to NYU. I mean, NYU is so prestigious. It's like a neurosurgeon saying, "Yeah, I'm going back just to kind of learn a little bit more about the left arm." It's like, wow, it's amazing. I keep touching my nose. I'm sorry. I think one of my dog hairs flew up and got me. I'm not trying to be weird. So, okay, MiMi Rose.
What not to do when networking. Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Don't do this a lot, and don't a little. But MiMi Rose, you're a lot of fun. This has been really informative, and I'm really hoping that our audience that was watching this tonight is able to glean and pull from this conversation I've had with you, because there are nuggets here that if you focus on and put into your bag of tricks and toolbox, that you can kind of take the next step in 2021, especially now. There's so much opportunity right now for people to learn new things, to re-rack, reassess, and kind of go down different roads. So thank you for being our guest. It's been an amazing, yeah, absolutely. Anytime you want to come back and talk and insult me, and I'm free. So yeah, I mean, this was the first time you've gotten yourself ready in 2021, so you could technically just kind of show same.
I'm just gonna leave it.
Yeah.
I'm just not gonna move.
I have my buffet sweats on right now, which is like what I've been wearing for like 15 months.
I have my nice leggings.
Nice.
My fancy leggings.
One of your pictures, in doing my homework about you, was an Instagram picture. And you're like, the good thing about auditioning during COVID is you really only have to dress from the top up. Now you're like in these. All right, MiMi Rose, thank you for being here. You are awesome. Bex, thank you for producing. Brian and Action Cal Cap Studios. Thank you, everybody. We will see you next time.
Happy New Year.